If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson would've known.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good. good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay to cost me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be.
Mr. Wilson with a new.
Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Shalom, Israel. The water for turning into the class this evening. This is another edition of Bible Basics. I am your teacher this evening. My name is Shahad Amath, and the title of the class is The Power of Love. So let's get into it. Let's see what the Bible says about love, right? Let's go to 1 Corinthians 13, and we're pretty much going to read the whole chapter, but we're going to be grabbing some scripture outside of here as well. So let me know when you're go ahead and read 1 when you're ready. One thing that I want you to do, think about something that someone did for you within the past week that made you feel appreciated, that made you feel valued. Think about how that made you feel. Think about why they did it, and you know why that made you feel appreciated, feel valued, right? Feel loved even. We often, well, I feel like here in the society we've been groomed or taught to believe that love is a feeling, but the reality is love is an action. The way that you feel love is through others' actions. It's not through them telling you. You know, when someone tells you that they love them, you get the understanding that they believe that they love you, but you really feel it by the things that they do or don't do for you, right? So go ahead and read that when you got it.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 1. And it reads, though I speak with tongues of men and of angels, and have not charity, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy, and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith, so that I can remove mountains, and have not charity, I am nothing.
So it starts out saying that though I speak with the tongues of man and of angels, so you have understanding, right? You're able to share understanding. You're able to give understanding, right? You're able to teach. But if you do this without charity, right? If you're not doing it because you genuinely want to help your fellow brothers and sisters, then you might as well just be making loud noise, right? Like a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal, right? These are things that make noise, but if it's not rhythmically, right, then it's just noise. It's just empty noise that doesn't mean anything, right? In the same way that if you are doing things, but you're not doing them because you're doing them for yourself, right? You're doing them for self-glory. You're not doing them because you genuinely care about and love your fellow brothers and sisters, then you might as well just be a noisemaker and nothing else, right? It says, because you have the gift of understanding, you have the gift of reason, understand mysteries and knowledge, and have faith that you could remove mountains, but don't have any charity, you're as nothing, right? Go ahead and read.
And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, and have not charity, it profiteth me nothing.
It profiteth nothing, right? So it is a sum negative, right? It is not a sum positive. It's worthless, right? It's vain. It's vanity, right? Love is indispensable, right? So hold that, and let's go to 1 Samuel 15, and we're going to start at verse 18, right? We're going to see how the Most High feels about vain offerings. He is not interested in our vain offerings. He's interested in deliberate, faithful, and loving obedience to his word and his will, to doing his will, to keeping his commandments, his law, statutes, and commandments. And if you actually go through and read the law, statutes, and commandments, what you'll recognize is that there are laws, statutes, and commandments to commemorate the Most High, and then there are laws, statutes, and commandments that protect and provide for all of Israel, so that none of Israel who is keeping the commandments ever has to suffer or go without, right? That's the beauty of the commandments. It's about protecting one another. It's about providing for one another. It's about loving one another, right? It's a bunch of instructions on what to do or not do, right? And through these things, that's not only how you show that you love the Most High God, but that's how you show that you love your brothers and sisters, right? Your neighbors, right? Go ahead and read that when you get it. 15 and start at 18.
The book of 1 Samuel chapter 15 and verse 18. And the Lord sent thee on a journey and said, Go and utterly destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they be consumed.
So the Lord sent out Saul to destroy the Amalekites, right? And he gave him specific instructions. Read.
Wherefore then didst thou not obey the voice of the Lord, but didst fly upon the spoil, and didst evil in the sight of the Lord?
Read.
And Saul said unto Samuel, Yea, I have obeyed the voice of the Lord, and have gone the way which the Lord sent me, and have brought Agag the king of Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. But the people took of the spoil sheep and oxen, the chief of things which should have been utterly destroyed, to sacrifice unto the Lord thy God in Gilgal.
So Samuel got a message from the Most High telling him how to deal with Saul, right? Because Saul disobeyed. The Most High told him to go and destroy all of the Amalekites and all of their possessions, leaving nothing, right? And he chose not to do that. Instead, he kept the king alive, right? And he allowed the people to take what they deemed as the valuable things, right? And so Samuel is confronting Saul and telling him, giving him the message from the Most High, and letting him know that you disobeyed the Most High God. And Saul is telling Samuel, no, I didn't. I obeyed. This is exactly what I did. It was the people that disobeyed, right? So he's shifting the blame from himself to the people, right? Which is wicked as hell. You're the leader. You're supposed to ensure that the people stay on task, and you can't even stay on task, right? But go ahead and read.
And Samuel said, hath the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of the Lord?
So the Most High does not delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices. He would prefer that we didn't sin. That is always better than sinning and having to give a sacrifice. That's what is being said right here. The Lord isn't happy with your burnt offering and the sacrifices. Don't sin. Don't disobey me. That's what makes the Most High happy. Read.
Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams.
Read.
For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he hath also rejected thee from being king.
So the Most High rejected Saul because he disobeyed, because he didn't listen, because he felt like it was better for him to do what he wanted to do, right? Keep the king for a public show, for a public display, and allow the people to take the valuable items rather than obeying the Most High God and doing exactly what he said, right? And the Most High is not interested in your feelings, right? He's interested in obedience. So we need to be obedient rather than deal with our feelings. Go to Sirach 34. There are a lot of times where, one might seem to be doing good unto others, right? But if you're really loving your people, if we're really loving one another, then we should be willing to be servants to one another. We should be willing to serve one another like Christ served all of Israel. He dedicated his life to Israel. That's what he was about, and that's what we should be about. We should be about building up this nation, and that's what the power of love is. The power of love, when you actually understand it from the biblical standpoint, from the biblical understanding, it's about building up a nation of people, a righteous nation. It is the building blocks for building up a nation, and that's what we all supposed to be doing. That's what we all should be motivated to do, is to build up Israel so we can get have an opportunity to get the kingdom. 18.
The book of Sirach, chapter 34, and verse 18. He that sacrificeth of a thing wrongfully gotten, his offering is ridiculous.
The Most High is not interested in ridiculous offerings, right? Read.
And the gifts of unjust men are not accepted.
So if you are not moving justly, it doesn't matter what the gift is. It doesn't matter how sincere this gift is. The Most High is not dealing with it. Read. Verse 19.
The Most High is not pleased with offerings of the wicked, neither is he pacified for sin by the multitude of sacrifices.
So he's not the Most High is not pacified by the multitude of sacrifices that we have to do because of our disobedience. He prefers that we would be obedient, right? He prefers that we would love one another and love him like he told us, right? This is the power of love. Read.
Whoso bringeth an offering of the goods of the poor doeth as one that killeth the son before his father's eyes.
So we see here how the Most High feels about disobedience and about vain sacrifices, right? Vain sacrifices that are not rooted in love, but rather in personal gain or personal glory, right? The Most High is not interested in those. He's not interested in what you feel would be best. He's interested in obedience. So Let's go back to 1 Corinthians 13, and we're going to read 4. So we need to make sure that our deeds are rooted in love, like the Bible says. We need to make sure that when we say that we love one another, right? What we really should be asking ourselves is how devoted are we to one another, right? How willing are we to serve one another? Love should be measured by your level of service, right? If you love someone, you should be willing to be a servant in righteousness to that person. You should be willing to do whatever you can to ensure their prosperity, right? You should be willing to build them up when they need to be built up, to provide correction when they need correction, right? To provide exaltation, right, when they need to be lifted up. These are all the things that you do when you love someone. Love is an action. That's the power of love. It makes people feel good. It makes people feel like they can do anything if you're doing it right. Right? The power of love is, again, it's the building blocks for building this nation. And the way that we're going to build this nation is by loving one another, by keeping these commandments, by doing what the word says. That's the way that we are going to be able to complete the mission, right? Go ahead and read that.
1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 4. Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up.
Charity is love, right? When you are charitable, right? That means you're willing to give, not because you feel obligated to, but because you genuinely care, you generally want to, right? Let's grab Exodus 32. We're going to start at verse 9. It says, charity suffereth long, right? So charity is long suffering. It's patient and it's kind, right? It's not nice. It doesn't say the right things at the right time, but it actually means the right things at the right time, right? It's not about lip service. It's not about your loving words that you might say, but it's action, right? It's what are you willing to do? How are you willing to serve? It says, charity envieth not. It doesn't vaunt itself, and it's not puffed up, right? It's we're gonna see how Moses was patient and long suffering, right? Go ahead and read that.
The book of Exodus chapter 32 and verse 9. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make of thee a great nation.
So the Most High is telling Moses, look, these people are wicked, they're stiff-necked, they are not interested in obeying, right? I'm going to destroy these people, and I'm going to use you to build up a new people, a better people, a greater people, right? Read.
And Moses besought the Lord his God, and said, Lord, why doth thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand?
Read.
Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, for mischief did he bring them out, to slay them in the mountains and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from thy fierce wrath and repent of this evil against thy people.
So Moses is reminding the Most High, look, remember you brought these people out of this land by your great works, right? By doing things, by putting plagues on the people, on the land that only you could have done. So the everyone has seen your glory. Everyone understands your promises, right? Everyone understands who your people are and what you told them you would do, right? Now, if you go against that, you're going to lessen the power that you have. You're going to lessen the influence that you have. You're going to lessen your glory because you wouldn't be fulfilling your word. You wouldn't be fulfilling what you said you would do, right? So the people will say, well, the Most High God said that He was going to do this, but He didn't. He couldn't, right? So that's going to knock the Most High God's power down a few notches, right? And He shouldn't want that, right? Because he is the pinnacle of power, right? And so it's important that he maintain that, and that's what Moses was reminding him, right? Read.
Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swearest by thy own self, and saidest unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of I will give unto you, unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. And the Lord repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people.
Moses was being patient with the people because Lord knows we didn't deserve it, right? We didn't deserve the Most High's patience. We didn't deserve Moses' patience. The way that we were behaving, right? The way that we were disobeying, the way that we were murmuring and acting, right? We didn't deserve that sort of mercy. We didn't deserve that sort of patience. But Moses gave it anyways because he was a righteous man. Because he loved Israel, right? And he was willing to stand up on behalf of Israel on behalf of the word of the Most High, to show the Most High, to be patient, to be long suffering, to not go against His word, right? Go to Tobit chapter 1, and we're going to start at 13, right? So we can see this is an example of being patient, what patience and long suffering looks like in the Bible, right? This is one of the stipulations of love, is to be patient, and long suffering is to be charitable, right? You be charitable with your patience. You be charitable with your time. This is how you be charitable. It's being patient and long suffering, right? And we see that Moses, even when it wasn't deserved, Moses was patient with Israel, and pleaded to the Most High on behalf of Israel, right? Tobit 1 and 13.
The book of Tobit, chapter 1 and verse 13. And it reads, and the Most High gave me grace and favor before Nebuchadnezzar, so that I was his purveyor. And I went into Media and left in the trust of Gabael, the brothers of Gabarias, at Rages, a city of Media, 10 talents of silver. Salakia. Now when Anamazer was dead, Sennacherib, his son, resigned in his stead, whose estate was troubled, that I could not go into Media.
So while Tobit's father was in Media, he was given grace and favor before the leader there, right? He was the purveyor there. But once Anamazer died, his son took over. He started reigning after, right? And he didn't like Tobit's father, and so he couldn't return to the land. But we'll go on to see how he continued to love his people. Go ahead and read.
And in the time of Anamazer, I gave many alms to my brethren, and gave my bread to the hungry, and my clothes to the naked. And if I saw any of my nation dead or cast about the walls of Nineveh, I buried him.
And so, even though he wasn't able to return to his land, he was still being kind and meeting the needs of his people, right? He was feeding the hungry, and he was burying the dead, and this was important because it helped to protect the what's the word I'm looking for, the psyche or the it helped to protect the psyche of Israel, right? People were being persecuted, people were being killed in that time, and we weren't allowed to bury the dead, right? They would leave the dead out on the road, in the land, for other Israelites to see as an example, right? And that's a heavy thing. That is a heavy thing to see your brethren, bodies just strewn everywhere, right? And so he would go out and he would find these bodies, and he would give them a proper burial, right? And he was going against the land. He was going against the rulers' word at that time, and he was doing that he was risking his life and his freedom out of the love that he had for his brethren, right? So this is an example of love by action, right? Let's go back to 1 Corinthians 13 and let's read verse 5. Do we finish that? I'm sorry, we didn't finish that. Yeah, read 18.
And if the king Sennacherib has slain any, when he has come and fled from Judea, I buried them privily, for in his wrath he killed many, but the bodies were not found when they were sought for of the king.
So yeah, he's reiterating that he took care of the dead bodies that the king had slewn. No, let's go to back to 1 Corinthians 13 and verse 5.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 13 and verse 5. And it reads, doth not behave itself unseemingly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil.
So these are other characteristics of charity and love, right? It says it does not behave itself unseemingly, seeketh not her own, right? Love isn't where you're trying to get what's best for you first, but where you're putting others before you, right? It's not easily provoked, right? And it thinketh no evil. So let's get some examples, right? Let's get an example of humility. 1 Samuel 18, and we'll start at verse 1. We're going to see an example in the Bible of humility.
The book of 1 Samuel, chapter 18 and verse 1. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul.
So as Jonathan got to know David, he felt an incredible kinship, right? He really loved David, which means biblically that he was willing to serve David, right? Now, understanding that Jonathan is the king's son and heir to the throne, right? Read.
And Saul took him that day and would not let him go no more home to his father's house.
Read.
Then Jonathan and David made a covenant because he loved him as his own soul.
So this is Jonathan making a covenant with David, because of how much he cared for him, because of how much he loved him, because of how much he was willing to serve him. Read.
And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him and gave it to David, and his garments, even to his sword and his bow and to his girdle.
So he gave David his royal garb, right? His royal robes and his sword and his bow and his girdle. These are things that men use to defend themselves and the people that they love, right? And being the king's son, he probably had some of the best of these items, right? His sword, I'm sure, was a beautiful and powerful sword. Same with his bow. I'm sure he had the best of the best, and his girdle, right? But he was willing to give these things to David because of the kinship, because of the love that he felt for him, because um, of the relationship that they had, because he understand what love was biblically, right? And he loved David so much that he was willing to take his items, which were the best. He was willing to, even though he was the son of the king, right? And had all of the benefits of being part of the royal family, of being the son in the royal family. He was willing to bestow that the things that belonged to him to David. He was willing to give them to David because of how much he loved David, right? Of how much he was willing to serve. This is a show of how humble Jonathan was, right? How much he appreciated David. He was willing to bow himself down in a way of speaking, or lower himself, and to elevate David, right? David, who was not a direct heir to the throne, right? And this was like the brother said, this was not for anything in return. He wasn't gaining anything, but perhaps the love of David, right? But David wasn't part of the royal family. He doesn't have anything to offer, but his services, right? But his love, but his actions, right? And if you know the story of David, you'll know how far he went for Israel. Excuse me. So go ahead and continue reading.
And David went out whithersoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely. And Saul set him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants.
Yes, we can see that that David went. He was able to gain the favor of Saul, and Saul actually put him over men as a leader of the men of the warriors, right? Let's go to 2 Samuel 16 and verse 5, right? So verse 4, 1 Corinthians 13 and 4 talked about charity being suffereth long, it's kind, it envieth not, it doesn't vaunt itself up, and it's not puffed up, right? And so we see the humility of Jonathan, where even though he was the king's son, he did not walk around with a puffed up air, and he wasn't interested in vaunting himself up, but the exact opposite, right? He lowered himself in order to vaunt David up, to lift David up, right? Now we're going to see an example of David's imperturbable. Go ahead and read. Start at verse 5.
The book of 2 Samuel, chapter 16, and verse 5. And when King David came to Bahurim, behold, thence came out a man of the family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shimei, the son of Gera. He came forth and cursed still as he came.
So this was a descendant of the house of Saul, or a man of the family of the house of Saul, right? Saul losing the kingdom to David, and David taking the throne, right? And he clearly wasn't happy about it, right? Read.
And he cast stones at David and at all the servants of David, and all the people and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left.
So he's throwing stones at David, disrespecting David, in a way that you just don't treat a king, right? Read.
And thus said Shimei when he cursed, come out, thou bloody man, thou man of Belial.
Read.
And the Lord hath returned upon thee all the blood of the house of Saul, in whom stead thou hast reigned. And the Lord hath delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom, thy son. And behold, thou art taken in thy mischief, because thou art a bloody man.
And so he was basically condemning David, saying that he was being judged by the Most High because of his actions, right? Read.
Then said Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, unto the king, why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over, I pray thee, and take off his head.
So one of King David's men is not happy with the disrespect and is ready to go and execute justice on this man, right? He's turning to David, basically looking for permission, right? Read.
And the king said, what have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse, because the Lord hath said unto him, curse David. Who shall then say, wherefore hast thou done so?
So David, understanding that he is worthy of this cursing, right, and also, believing, knowing that he has sinned against the Most High, and he is deserving of the wrath of this man. What he's saying is, I understand that the Most High put a spirit on this man to curse me, and I deserve it. So hold your peace and let him, get out what he needs to get out, because I understand and believe that this is judgment for my sins. That's what David is saying, right, Reed?
Salakia. And David said to Abishai and to all his servants, behold, my son, which came forth of my bowels, seeketh my life. How much more now may this Benjamite do it? Let him alone and let him curse, for the Lord hath bidded him.
Read.
It may be that the Lord will look on mine affliction, and that the Lord will requite me good for his cursing this day.
So this is an example of imperturbable, right? This is David being, it means unprovoked, right? This is a situation where David was clearly being disrespected as a king, and he wasn't moved by the disrespect to react and require justice, right, or execute justice on this man, right, who was disrespecting him. He was unprovoked, and that is another characteristic of being charitable or loving your fellow brother or sister, right? It's to be unprovocable. So even when someone is in their feelings and their communication to you is disrespectful, the way that you show love is by not responding in kindly, right? Not responding back with the same type of energy, not responding defensively, not responding in a way of getting even, but being charitable, being patient, being long-suffering, being untriggered, right? And rather than getting even, be focused on getting to a solution, right? That is David. That's an example of David taking the insults because he felt like he was worthy of them, and he was unprovoked in that manner, right? Let's go to Luke 10, Luke chapter 10, and we're gonna see another example of charitability, right? we see that verse 5, one of the characteristics is to not be easily provoked, and that was an example of David when he had every right to be provoked and every right to feel disrespected. He chose not to. It was an active choice, and that's what we also need to keep in mind on this in these times, that when we choose to react a certain way, it is just that. It's where we're making a choice, whether it feels like a choice or not, right? We have the choice to sin, and we have the choice to remain righteous. And in every dealing, it is a choice that we make, right? And I know sometimes it doesn't feel like a choice. It feels like you're being provoked, right? Or it feels like you're being pushed into the reaction that you want to have. But, again, when you say that you love, the way that you measure it is by how willing are you to serve, right? How willing are you to be a servant to this individual? Are you willing to do the things that the Bible says, the characteristics that the Bible says to have? Are you willing to be charitable even when you're being disrespected? Are you willing to be charitable even when you don't feel like being charitable? That's what love is, right? Go ahead and Luke 10 and 25.
The book of Luke, chapter 10 and verse 25. And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tempted him, saying, Master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? He said unto him, What is written in the law? How readest thou? And he answered and said, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself.
And so this is a man that's repeating the two greatest laws, right? Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, with all thy might, and love thy neighbor as thyself, right? These aren't the only commandments, but these are two of the greatest commandments, the greatest because they are encompassing of all of the other commandments, right? Read.
And he said unto him, Thou hast answered right. This do, and thou shalt live.
Read.
But he willingly to justify himself said unto Yahushai, And who is my neighbor? And Yahushai answered and said, A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and fell among thieves, which stripped him of his raiment, and wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead.
So the man wanted to know, he understood what the law was saying, but he wanted to understand who his neighbor is, right? Who counts as his neighbor? And so Yahushai is answering in a parable, right? Read.
And by chance there came down a certain priest that way, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side.
So this was a certain man who went to from Jerusalem to Jericho, and was robbed and wounded and left half dead to die, right? And a certain priest, when came upon him, passed him by, right? This is a priest of a priest who is a teacher of the law, right? And instead of being charitable to this man, he passed by him and left him to die, right? Read.
And likewise a Levite, when he was at the place, come to look on him and pass by on the other side.
And a Levite, right, who is chief of the priest. This is an individual who is supposed to be dedicated to serving the people, right? That's his role. That's their responsibility, is to look after the people. He didn't even have the love to look after this man that was dying, right? Read.
But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, And when he saw him, he had compassion on him, and went to him and bound up his wounds.
It was a Samaritan, right, who went to him and bound up his wounds, read.
Pouring in oil and wine, and set him on his own beast, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him.
So it was a Samaritan, right, who went and gathered this man up, put him on his own beast, right, and took care of him, took care of his wounds, and brought him to an inn, a place to rest, right? Read.
And on the morrow, when he departed, he took out 2 pence, and gave them to the host, and said unto him, Take care of him, and whatsoever thou spendest more, when I come again, I will repay thee.
And so now, not only did he take care of the man and he put him up for the night, but as he was leaving on his continuing on his voyage, he left money in the inn for them to take care of the man, to provide for him whatever he needs, right? And he promised. He said, when I come back, if it costs more to take care of him than I've left, rest assured that I'm going to repay you, right? And so this man, gaining nothing of his own, right? Gaining nothing for himself, took care of this stranger, took care of this man who was robbed and left to die. He used his hands to care for the man. I'm assuming he used he bound up his wounds with his bandages. He used his own oil and wine, right? Set him on his own beast. Which means that he had to walk, right? All to take care of this stranger. And not only that, he went above and beyond. He put him in an inn for the night and paid for his care, paid for his lodging, and promised that if it costs more than what he left, rest assured that on his return, he will cover the difference, right? Read.
Which now of these 3 thinkest thou was a neighbor unto him that fell among the thieves?
So, which was the neighbor? The 2 men, the two men who you would assume would be the caregivers, the priest of the church, and then the priest, the Levi, which is the head priest of the church, and both of them left this man to die, right? Read.
And he said, He that showeth mercy on him, then Yahushua unto him, Go and do thou likewise.
So the Most High is telling him, look, don't be like the priests of the church, don't be like the Levites of the church, but be like that Samaritan. Yes, Yahushua was saying, don't go and be like the church leaders who are hypocrites, but go be like that Samaritan and actually love your neighbors as yourself, right? Actually do whatever you can to restore your neighbors and your brothers, right, in righteousness, right? Do it in sincerity, and don't do it looking for something to gain, but do it because you love me and you love your brothers and sisters, right? Be self-sacrificing, right? Sacrifice yourself to be a servant unto others, right? Let's go back to 1 Corinthians, and we're going to get 6 and 7. 1 Corinthians 13, verse 6 and 7. So there's an example of being, sacrificing your time, your energy, your efforts, your resources to the good of others without expecting anything in return, right?
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 6. Rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth. Bearing all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things.
So we're called to bear all of the things, to believe in all the things, to hope in all of the things, and to endure all things, right? Because we're worthy of all of these things, right? And we are in a position where we are being tested to see our righteousness. And so there's a need for us to be steadfast and unwavering in our faith, steadfast and unwavering in our beliefs, in our hopes, and to endure all, right? Let's go to Ruth chapter 1. And we're going to see Ruth's example of steadfast faith. Verse 6.
The book of Ruth, chapter 1 and verse 6. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law, that she might return from the country of Moab. For she had heard in the country of Moab how that the Lord hath visited his people and given them bread. Wherefore she went forth out of the place where she was, and her two daughters-in-law with her, and they went on the way to return unto the land of Judah. And Naomi said unto her two daughters-in-law, Go, return each to her mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you, as ye have dealt with the dead and with me.
Read.
The Lord grant you that ye may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voice and wept.
So at this point, Naomi is looking to part ways with her two daughters-in-law, right? This is after, obviously, her sons had passed on, and they had dealt with them, right? She's returning to her land, and she's telling both her daughters-in-laws, she's trying to convince them to leave her and go back to their land and go back to their people, right? Read.
And they said unto her, Surely we will return with thee unto thy people. And Naomi said, Turn again, my daughters. Why will ye go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands?
She says, look, I don't have any brothers for you, right? I don't have any sons for you to wed, right? This is understanding one of the commandments, which is if a husband dies without having children, then his brother is to wed the widow and bear fruit or bear a child in his name, right? And what Naomi is saying is, I don't have any other sons to fulfill this law. Go back to your people, right? Read. Go find a husband that you can give a son to. Read.
Would ye tarry for them till they were grown? Would ye stay for them from having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. And they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. And she said, Behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And Ruth said, Entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from the following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and whither thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God.
Read.
Where thou diest, will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but be put to death, but death part thee and me.
So Ruth is telling Naomi, look, I'm with you to the end. I'm gonna go lodge with you and your people, and they're gonna be my people, and your God is going to be my God. She had steadfast faith in the God of Naomi, right? And in Naomi as well, right? She understood that she understood the type of person that Naomi was and that her people were, and she wanted to be with them because of that righteousness, right? She had steadfast faith that she was going to be taken care of and she was going to be okay with Naomi and her people, right? To the point where she was willing to forego returning back to her own people, right? That's a type of faith, steadfast faith that we are commanded to have as well, right? Let's go back to 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And start at verse 8.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 8. And it reads, charity never faileth, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail.
Read.
Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away.
Read.
For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect come, then that which is in part shall be done away.
Read.
When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things.
So it says, when I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child, right? And the thing that we know about children is children are pretty self-centered. They can be pretty rude in that self-centeredness, right? As a child, from infant on, their concern is primarily themselves and their wants and needs, right? And they don't really take into consideration anyone else. And it really isn't until, if they have siblings, once they have siblings, they get a little bit of understanding now, hopefully they're being taught. They're being taught to play well with one another, right? They're being taught to consider their siblings' feelings, right? To consider their siblings, right? To share things with them, right? And to work together. These are skills that you have to teach children, because children don't really understand the benefits to working together, to playing together, right? They, like children, think of themselves and put themselves first and foremost, almost always, right? But once you become a man, once you are a bit more mature, once you have a bit more understanding, once you've played sports, for instance, or had some group projects, or worked together with others, you understand the benefit of working together, right? To get to a goal, and how it's easier when you're able to work with others. It's easier when you're able to rely on others, right? It's easier when you're able to share that burden, whatever it is, right? And so having that understanding, you put away the childish things, right? You put away the things that are motivating to you, right, are beneficial to you, and you concentrate more on the bigger picture, right? The bigger picture meaning your people, establishing your nation, right? Nation building. These are the things that should become a higher priority in your life as an adult. Go ahead and read.
For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even also I am known.
Go ahead.
And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity.
So it's finishing up and saying, abide in the faith, right? Be faithful to this word. Be hopeful in the truth in this gospel, right? And be charitable to one another, right? But it's saying of these things, the greatest thing is charity, right? Charity being a facet of love, how you love one another, right? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 6. And we're going to see how love fuels nation building, right? In order for us to build a nation, in order for us to get back to the kingdom that is promised to us, we're going to have to build together. We're going to have to work together. We're going to have to love one another, right? And we can see that in the scriptures. We can see how keeping these commandments, how loving God with everything and loving our neighbors is how we go about building the nation, right? Go ahead and read that when you got it. Verse 4.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thine soul, and with all thy might. And
Where we are to love, grab John 14 and 15. We're to love God with our heart, our mind, with all of our actions, with all of our thoughts, with all of our soul, right, and with all of our might, right. So in everything we do, we should be dedicated to doing the word of the Most High, right. Go ahead and read that when you got it.
the book of John chapter 14 and verse 15. If ye love me, keep my commandments.
If you love me, keep my commandments. This is how we show that we love the Most High God, is by keeping His commandments, right? It's a reiteration of Deuteronomy 6 and 4 and 5. Go to Acts 4 and 32. And again, when you have the understanding of what the laws, statutes, and commandments are, and what they're commanding us to do is love one another, right? They're all geared towards loving and building up the nation again. They're all geared to providing the best for one another, right? It's instructions on how to treat one another, to treat your other brothers and sisters in this nation, a way to maximize our effectiveness in building up a righteous nation, right? It's the way that we maximize our ability to practice the righteous acts. Keeping the commandments is how we love the Most High, and it's part of our culture. And so we need to get back to our culture, which is keeping the commandments, right? Go ahead and read that when you got it. 4 and 32.
The book of Acts chapter 4 and verse 32. And the multitude of them that believed were of one heart and of one soul.
So the multitude of them were of one heart and one soul, right? That means that they were on one accord. Read.
Neither said any of them that aught of things which he possessed was his own, but they had all things in common.
So people weren't being selfish with the things that they had, but they were willing to give and give accordingly, so that everyone was on a level and equal playing field, right? Read.
And with great power gave the apostles witness of the resurrection of the Lord Yahushua, and great grace was upon them all.
And because of the way that they acted with one another and the way that they treated one another, right? It was a great representation of what Christ was teaching our people, right? Read.
Neither was there any among them that lacked.
Everyone had all that they needed. No one was suffering, right? No one was going without. Read.
For as many as were possessors of land, or possessors of lands or houses, sold them and brought the prices of the things that were sold.
Read.
And laid them down at the apostles' feet, and distribution was made unto every man according to he had need.
Grab Baruch chapter 4. So here we're seeing group economics, right? We're seeing how a community, a congregation comes together and takes all that they have, they sell it and get the value of it in cash, so that they can split it evenly, so that everyone has according to their needs, right? This is group economics. This is skill sharing. This is resource sharing. This is how you build a nation, right? All of these other nations know that. They know that that in order for them to be great, in order for them to be prosperous as a people, they have to work together. They have to provide for one another. They have to build one another up, right? And you see it in all of these nations and all of these other countries where they have their own land, right? They work together, they provide for one another, they build and lift one another up, right? That's something that we are just now trying to get back to because that knowledge, that information had not only been taken from us, but we have been conditioned through violence, through other means, deception. We have been conditioned to think about ourselves first, right? Self-preservation. We put ourselves before everyone else. That's how we've been conditioned to think and act in this society, right? And coming into the knowledge of the Word, we are just now learning that in order for us to get back to our standing, right? In order for us to fulfill what the Most High said would happen, we have to get back to thinking as a congregation, thinking about us in unity and working together and building together, right? So there's an example of that. Go ahead and grab or read that Baruch when you got it. It's 4:21.
The book of Baruch, chapter 4 and verse 21. Be of good cheer, O my children. Cry unto the Lord, and he will deliver you from the power and hand of the enemies. For my hope is in the everlasting, that he will save you, and joy is come unto me from the Holy One, because of the mercy which shall soon come unto you from the everlasting, our Savior.
So this is promised to us, right? It's promised that our Savior, the Most High, is going to redeem us, is going to take us out of this captivity, right? Read.
For I sent you out with mourning and weeping, but God will give you to me again with joy and gladness forever.
Read.
Like as now the neighbors of Zion have seen your captivity.
Like all of these other nations have seen how you've been put into captivity. Read.
So shall they see shortly your salvation from our God, which shall come upon you with great glory and brightness of the everlasting.
Soon they will see your God, the Most High God, restoring you back to your proper standing forever, right? This is a promise, and all we got to do is do our part, right? It's going to happen. It's going to happen, and the only question is whether you're going to be a part of the righteous or a part of the wicked, right? Grab number 6 and 22. So the power of love is, at the end of the day, the power that it has is to rebuild a broken nation. Numbers chapter 6 and start at 22. This is what the power of love is, right? The power of love is our ability to rebuild our nation, to get into the kingdom and get have an opportunity for eternal salvation, right? That's how powerful love is, right? But it's an action. It's a doing. It's not a thinking. It's not a feeling, right? It's a doing. You have to do these things. You have to have these characteristics. You have to be this type of individual for you to really exercise that power, right? Go ahead and read that when you got it.
The book of Numbers, chapter 6 and verse 22. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, The Lord bless thee and keep thee.
The Most High blesses us and keep us. That's where our blessings come from, and He's going to keep us and protect us. Read.
The Lord make his face shine upon thee, and be gracious unto thee.
Read.
The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee, and give thee peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them.
So the Most High will bless us if we do according to His word, right? It's a promise. All we have to do is fulfill our side. All we have to do is follow the instructions of the Bible. All we have to do is love Him, the Most High God, and love one another, right? It's simple. So let's get back to doing that. Let's make that our focus, Israel. Let's make that our goal. Let's get this kingdom, right? Let's love one another in action, in doing. Let's be charitable, right? And let's uphold all of these characteristics, right? And let's remember the examples in the Bible of our foremothers and forefathers, right? And let's try to live as close as we can to those, right? Thank you for tuning into the class. I ask that you will continue to like and share the classes. Send this to someone, and let's continue to spread this gospel. Let's continue to do this word, and let's continue to keep the faith. And with that, I say, Shalom.